So welcome back everybody to the Behind the Brand podcast. My name is Curtis, and again, thank you so much for joining us. If it's on Facebook, if it's on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcast. I don't know why I said Facebook. I mean, you can find us on Facebook, but you'll not see the full podcast. But today we're joined with a brand new guest here in the studio. We've got Becky from Off the Hook. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for coming along tonight.
Oh no, it's my pleasure. Absolutely.
So great. It's great getting another business in, but another business that does something completely different to what we've had before. Because I feel like this is, I mean, I don't really know many people that do this sort of thing.
And yet, there's loads of them.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Well, you'll probably be the one to know, looking at the competition and things like that.
Yeah. So. I have 7 classes a week and usually sold out every week. So
fantastic.
A lot of people who want to crochet.
That's it. Well, we'll dig into a wee bit of that. So what we tend to do is for the guests, and we get them to introduce themselves. Because obviously people need to know, I mean, it's different if they're watching, they know exactly who they're looking at here. But for those that are listening as such, we need to get them imagine it. I mean, get their imaginations working, and we can create a story here. But first of all, can you even introduce who you are, how you managed to get into the business, and even just kind of where you're at just now with it?
All right then. So I'm Becky, obviously. I have been crocheting for about 2.5 years. Right. So a lot of people kind of think that I've been doing this since like I was knee high to a grasshopper. But no, I wanted to learn to crochet when I first fell pregnant with my son, who's now 3.5. I wanted to make him a blanket because I lost my mum when I was about 11, and the only thing I had from her was a blanket she'd made for my cousin who was not born yet. He's now in his 20s, so when Noah, my son, was born, he gifted the blanket to Noah.
Passed it down.
Exactly. So it's the one thing I've got from my mum. Like, I know if she was still here, she'd be whipping out all sorts. So it's the one thing I've got, and I thought I want to be able to pass things down to my children and my grandchildren eventually, hopefully. So I thought I'm going to learn to crochet. So I did.
Amazing.
And I obviously started with YouTube because there's not a lot of classes kicking about. And it was difficult because, as I've found from a lot of people, they'll say like you'll follow a tutorial, but a lot of tutorials expect you to know kind of how to hold your wool and how to do this and how to do that. And then you follow this tutorial, and if you go wrong, there's nothing on YouTube that says, and if it looks like this, then you've gone wrong. You're expected to get it right. So I said, I really struggled with YouTube, and I bet there's loads of people out there as well. So I started, it was my 2021 New Year's resolution. And so I started in the January, in the November, I started my first class. And I sold out every single week. So I took on a second one, a third, and it's just grown arms and legs now. So
that's phenomenal. That's absolutely phenomenal. I'm so sorry. My watch just pinged there and I'm meant to turn it off. Oh, no, I've just hit that as well. Don't worry, we'll cut that out. I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
What is going on? I'm having a bloody nightmare today. That is absolutely fantastic. And it's amazing that. So when you're saying about obviously it not being on YouTube, have you ever thought about creating your own YouTube videos to cut that? Because I've found that a lot of time when I'm doing like things I'm trying to figure out things of editing or using a new software, mics and stuff like that, they instantly think you know everything there is to know about it rather than taking you right from the very start. I'm like, you're missing such a big gap in the market there of people that are so brand new to this.
I know. And I started, well, I got the YouTube channel, I got my picture uploaded, and then I just need the time. So my husband gets 2 days off a week, on a Thursday and a Saturday when I do most of my classes. The kids are in nursery on a Wednesday and a Friday, which I take to do kind of writing patterns and admin and stuff. I started writing a pattern for next week at about 9 o'clock this morning, and by 2 o'clock it wasn't done. So if you take into account like writing patterns and planning and social media, there's just not enough hours in the day to then start doing videos. I'll do occasional little TikTok things, like little kind of tips and tricks. But I mean, I would love to do a proper YouTube channel, weekly videos, but I just don't have the time.
It's just finding that time, isn't it? And then trying to get the recordings as well, because we always try and encourage people to do like batch recordings as well, because if you can dedicate like one evening or whatever it is to do it, then I'm like, you have content for the next 4 weeks.
That's exactly it. I'd love nothing more, but honestly I wanted to do a TikTok, and all I did, it was like, I'd say a couple of minutes of video, and then I did a voiceover, and by the time I've edited it and
such a long process,
isn't it? And I was like, there's just no way. I mean, a YouTube channel is like a job in itself.
It is.
So I mean, if I wasn't teaching as much, then maybe, but you know, eventually the kids will go to school and I might have a bit more time on my hands. So yeah.
I think that's why a lot of people get frustrated with YouTube, that their channels don't grow.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to it,
you
because they don't. You've got to look at YouTube as a job as well. But exactly obviously still loving your hobby as well, and everything that comes with it. So this was technically a hobby that you've turned into a full grown business as well.
I just started a class and I thought I'll see if anyone's interested. And then, like I say, it grew arms and legs. And all of a sudden people are saying, like, you're going to have to register with the HMRC. And suddenly I've got this business and I've got to do tax returns. And I don't know what I'm doing. So yeah, it's don't worry,
nobody does. You'll get to a point where it'll come second nature. Don't worry. Good. That's why there's people out there. That's why they get paid to do that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let the professionals handle it. Again, with your video and stuff like that as well, let them handle it. Get them to do it for you.
Yeah.
But it's about that. It's making time, as you say. And if you've got a busy family life, and that's kind of the reason, like, we get people like yourself on as well, because people that are listening that are thinking about starting their own business and things like that are like, well, my life's so busy with family and things like that. But we're like, if you don't take the chance of doing it, you're never going to find out if you actually.
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, initially it was just a little Saturday afternoon, a couple of hours on a Saturday, and I was like, well, like I said, my husband doesn't work a Saturday, so that was fine. And then another opportunity arose, and it was just a case of like, can we spare the time? But now I think I've reached my limit. I think 7's probably the most I can do. Although saying that,
is that days or people within the classes? Sorry. So
7 classes a week. The maximum I'll have is 10, depending on the location and how many you can fit in comfortably. So Hugs and Mugs in Renfrew, I've just started there, and I take 6 comfortably there. I think anymore it gets a bit cramped. But on a Saturday afternoon, I'll do Johnstone Morrison's, and I can sit 10. I could probably sit more, but then you kind of lose the interaction with people.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, I think
things can be missed as well.
Exactly. People tend to not, like, some people do, but some people won't speak up if they're getting it wrong. And then I'll eventually get to them and they've done all this wrong and I've got to pull it all out. It's awful. So I think if I could take any more than 10, I wouldn't. I think 10 would be my maximum per class. But yeah, 7 classes a week between 6 and 10. It's a lot. There's a lot. You got patterns to get printed out and enough wool to get for everybody, and it's just.
So, what is your ideal like prep then? What like talk me through your step by step how you would prep everything?
So I've got my pattern to write. So I'll write a pattern every week.
So what actually is that?
So anything to do with crochet, anything made with crochet requires a pattern. It's like if you're baking, you need a recipe.
All right, okay.
So it'll basically tell you what you need and what you're going to do with those things, and that's exactly it. So what I've found is you can write it in charts, and a lot of people look at it and go, that looks like hieroglyphics. It's just like little symbols that mean things. Okay. I prefer that. And there's a lot of people that do, but a lot of people that prefer the written version. So I've got to make sure that I have both. So I've got to do the symbols and the text, make sure they're aligned. I'm not missing anything. Then I've got to get them printed out, obviously. And that's a case of looking at who's bought tickets, because you can buy a ticket to my class where you don't want the paper pattern, you want to just have it emailed to you. It's making sure that I've got enough paper and not too many. I have someone in stock as well in case somebody says to me, I missed that week, can I do that instead? And then I've got to make sure I know who's coming to my class. If I've got regulars coming, then it's an easy night. If I've got newbies coming, I mean, it's an easy night anyway, but it's more involved because obviously I've got to start them from the very basics and kind of watch over them, whereas with regulars I'll be like, there's your pattern, give me a shout if you need me. So Paisley last night, for example, everybody was a regular, and we just laughed and laughed all night. Like I don't think I did any work. I think maybe 3 people said like, what does this mean now when it means that? And they went, all right, okay, cool. And then we just laughed all night. At one point I was on the floor crying with laughter. It was just ridiculous. And then you'll get weeks where, half the class are brand new. And so I'm just focused on them and making sure the regulars are okay. But what's really nice is that you'll find if I get kind of half and half, if I'm dealing with one newbie, a regular will jump in and help one of the newbies. Oh, that's quite good. Yeah, it's really nice. And
so really you're building a community. Yeah.
Exactly. Which is amazing because I now get messages constantly, which I've asked for. I say to people, if you make something, message me and let me know. I'll put it on social media and tag me. And I get it constantly. And I also get messages from people saying, I'm trying to make this pattern. What does this mean? So it's incredible. Like I say, it's a proper community. So I started a Facebook group and now people can ask each other
just questions. About to ask you that if you've got a Facebook group on
so I've got my page where I post all my notifications and things people need to know, but I've also got a page where people can share ideas and ask questions about, missing a ball of this yarn. Does anyone know where I can get it? And somebody will go, oh, I've got one spare actually. And it's really great. But going back to the original question, which was how do I prep? Making sure I've got enough yarn for everybody. Some people like to bring their own again, so it's making sure I don't overorder. Again,
that was another one I was going to ask you. Do you supply everything?
I do. I can do. I mean, like I say, I do different ticket prices, so I can do a kind of like, I'll bring everything. I'll bring the pattern. I'll bring the yarn. I'll bring enough for you to go with. I always have hooks on hand. I've got the most insane amount of crochet hooks in my ever. Because obviously, if I turn up to a class, I'm
guessing that's where the play on with the name comes in. Hooks off the hook. I wondered that. I was like, where did the hooks come from?
There you go.
I'm a newbie, so.
Well, I always say knitting is needles and crochet is hooks. And everyone goes, what's the difference? Crochet is one hook, knitting is 2 needles. So there you go.
Anybody was one done there.
So making sure I've got enough equipment for everybody, making sure I know everybody's ability. So I'll put on whenever you're booking a ticket, it'll say like, what's your experience? So my regulars, I'll just kind of put something stupid. Usually a fun fact. Did you know a group of flamingos is a flamboyance?
That's right.
Like, I get like little fun facts if it's a regular, and if it's a newbie, they can say, oh, I tried it when I was younger, or I'm not quite sure what I'm doing, or I'm working on a pattern, can you help me? And so I know what I'm walking into. And then once I know what I'm doing, obviously I check it every week, so people kind of maybe reschedule or book in last minute. And then off we go.
And is it just one class per night, or do you do separate classes?
Tuesday I have one in Paisley and an evening. Thursday I do a Thursday afternoon in Paisley and a Thursday night in Shawlands.
Okay.
Saturday I have Saturday morning in Dumbarton, Saturday afternoon in Johnstone, Saturday evening in Hugs and Mugs in Renfrew. And I also do a Friday morning at Erskine Arts.
Right, okay.
But that's a free session. I work in tandem with them, and we provide a kind of free crochet class for people to come along. So some people can crochet and they'll come along for the social aspect. Some people can't, and they just kind of want something to do with their time. So yeah.
It's a good way to pass the time as well.
It's addictive.
I know. I only know one other person that does crocheting, and some of the stuff that she makes is absolutely phenomenal, and the scope that she has as well. Because I think she does so I like a bit of Disney and things like that. So she tends to make like Disney things, or she'll make things for like newborns and things like that as well. Because I think with everything she makes, she donates quite a lot of it to, you know what I mean, like premature babies and things like that as well.
Yeah.
So there is obviously that amazing side to it as well, and she works really hard at it, and some of the stuff's absolutely amazing. Like some of the potential stuff that you can make, I mean, that must be phenomenal. Yeah. Is there like no idea that you've ever been like, that's totally off the cards?
Oh no, not at all. I will absolutely, and I try and do it all. Like if we're doing a certain stitch, for example, so like if you look at a blanket, it's a certain stitch repeated over and over again. Like they're crochet stitches, you can't invent. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, there are people who do invent new stitches, but generally speaking, if I'm doing a stitch, I'm doing a stitch.
Yep.
But if I'm doing something, it's called amigurumi stuffed toys, and I'll try and write my own pattern for that. Mainly so I'm not stealing somebody's pattern that somebody else has worked on and trying to get credit for it. So yeah, this week we're doing rubber duckies.
Oh, brilliant. That's right. I got shown your promo. That was brilliant.
Yeah, we're doing rubber duckies this week. And then in a couple of weeks we're going to do little mini donuts.
Oh, brilliant. Need to start making those jelly cat things as well.
Oh my god, yeah. But the yarn you have to use for that, it's like teddy bear yarn, and it's like everyone who knits or crochets will tell you it's a nightmare to work with.
So is there actually different types of things, so it's not just the same thing that you use? See, there's so much more to this than just being like, yeah, I'm just going to rock up and start crocheting. It's really, some may class it as an art. You know what I mean?
Well, if you want to call me an artist, Curtis, I'm not going to stop you.
Hey, listen, if the shoe fits, you know what I mean? If the boot fits, that's one of the scenes anyway. That's amazing. Just the everything that goes on behind it. Because I'll be honest with you, totally naive. I would have thought it was just coming together and stuff like that. Great community type thing, you know what I mean? Bringing people together. But I think what I was asking for, and I'm glad you kind of clarified what kind of the routine and where you are and things like that. We'll maybe dig into what sort of venues it is that you go to, because it might be some people be like, oh, I live around the corner from that. But you don't do like a beginner, intermediate type class. It's all
everyone's welcome. So if you can crochet and you want to just kind of come along and meet people who can crochet or learn something new, I have a lady who comes occasionally, mainly for amigurumi week, but occasionally I'll do like a stitch or something that she's not familiar with and thinks, oh, I'll come along and learn that. She can crochet, so it's a case of just giving her the pattern, and she just comes along, gets involved, asks any questions if she's not too sure about it, and just kind of gets to know everybody. I get a lot of kids come to my class, and they are brilliant. The youngest I've had was a few weeks ago, and she was 7. Brilliant. And she just picked it up phenomenally. It was incredible. And it gives me a proper like happy feeling when you see this.
You're passing on your knowledge.
Well, it's, you know what I mean? It's incredible. And her mum came with her, and her mum was like, my mum can do all this kind of stuff. It skipped a generation, and now my daughter wants to learn, but I don't know how to show her. So she brought her to the class, and her mum was so enthusiastic, bless her, and then started texting her mum going, look, I've taken her to crochet, and it was so sweet. But yeah, it's anyone's welcome. If you've never picked up a hook before, come along and I'll show you. I'll start you off from the very beginning. And if you can crochet, come along and have a laugh with us. Because, you know, like I say, everyone's welcome. And there's a lot of people who, I get a lot of, you'll have trouble teaching me, or there's no way I'll get this. And then like a couple of weeks later, they're like, oh, what I've made. Do
you feel like that? Do you feel like you get a couple of people that are like, I've done this for ages, like I know what I'm doing when it comes to it? It sounds like there's still so much to learn.
There's always something new, and I'm actually learning as I go. My first year actually was interesting because I thought, oh, now I can crochet, I can teach people, and then people were asking me questions, and I was not actually sure. So I have learned a lot in the last year. But even now, next week, we are doing it to the average crocheter. It looks quite simple, but I'm actually introducing 2 new techniques, which I am very new to as well.
Right. Okay.
So even though I'm the teacher, it's like it's constantly evolving. And I'm not going to go into the specifics because you'll just be like on about. But there's a particular technique I use very commonly in my classes. And if somebody who can crochet comes to class, they'll say, "Oh, what does that mean actually?" And anyone who's been taught it goes, "It's life changing." And it's the smallest little thing, and it's life changing. And surely enough, they go, this is life-changing. It is. They go, I've been doing this way. And everyone goes, oh, don't do it that way. No, that's wrong. And it's so funny. You always pick up little tips and tricks. It's so funny.
Does it turn into a bit like a cult?
I mean, it has been said. Yeah, on more than one occasion, it's a little bit culty.
I could just imagine them all like, oh, she used it the wrong way. Anyone who I've taught or have been to one of my classes is going to start laughing when I say this, when they watch this or hear it, because I have a thing about stitch markers. I can hear everybody laughing now. You have to mark your first stitch, otherwise you'll get lost or you don't know where it is and it goes all wonky. And the amount of people who come to my class and they go, never knew what a stitch marker was for, and everybody who's a regular goes or you get somebody who goes no, yeah, totally. And there was one lady who she came to class a few weeks ago. She was lovely and she could crochet. She brought all this crochet she could do, and she was like, I want to learn, I saw you posted about this, I want to learn this. And she was like, is this right? Because it was the new technique I was telling you about. She said, I've never done that. So I said, yeah, this is how you do it, don't forget to mark your first stitch. And she said, what does that mean? And honestly, you could have cut their tension with a knife. Everyone went, oh, Becky. And I went, I know, I'm sorry. I was like, she's new. She doesn't know she's new. Please excuse her.
I tell them I've got a rule for everybody who I teach. The first 3 classes you come to, I'll remind you to use a stitch marker. After that, if you forget and it goes wonky, I will laugh at you.
Do you feel like everybody's OCD becomes heightened when it comes to it? You've got to do things in a certain way to do it. See, I just don't know if I can. It's like sticking in the cones. I just don't know if I can do it. I just don't know if I'm getting.
Don't get me wrong. I've got one particular friend, hi Gemma, who just crochets. She just goes rogue. She doesn't know what she's going to crochet. She just picks up a hook and goes, I'm going to see how I feel. And it's like one of those kind of artists that just picks up a brush and just does whatever. And the things she produces, like honestly, she's really creative. Like with me, I'm more mathematical, so I'll go, okay, I want it to look like this, so therefore I'll have to do this many stitches here and do this, and I'll have to think about it mathematically. She's so creative. She just goes with the flow. Yeah. She's the only person who's shown me something she's made and I've actually cried. Like, honestly, I'll try and describe it to you. She handed me this blanket that she's been working on, and immediately I was on a beach in like one of the Western Isles. It just took you there. It was phenomenal. All different stitches and the colours, and it was just, and I went, oh my God, have you got the pattern? And she went, oh, I've made it up. Like
some people are just very talented,
yeah, to have
they?
that brain, honestly, yeah, jealous of her, very jealous. But I met her because she came to a couple of classes. Like I say, she could crochet and she wanted to come and meet new people. And now, like, I speak to her pretty much every day, like on WhatsApp, like we chat all the time. She's just moved away, which I'm really gutted about. But yeah, she's always messaging and we're always keeping updated with each other. It's really nice.
So really, it's just a community that you've built as well.
Yeah.
And is it mainly like they'll stick to, like, say, like you've got your Paisley lot? Do they just stick to the Paisley lot? Like, do you have everybody kind of coming together from different classes?
Generally yes, but there are quite a few people who will kind of go between various ones. So like you'll have people who are a little bit older, more local to certain ones, so that suits them. Or there'll be people who work that can only make a certain one. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's not uncommon for people to kind of go between, especially like on a Saturday if they can't make the morning one because it's sold out, they'll come to the afternoon one. And I've got a couple of fangirls, Rebecca and Jen, who follow me around.
Not producer Rebecca.
No. So it's funny actually because I've never been like one of those girls that had like girly friends at school, you know, you see on Facebook and there's girls who went to school together and they're all like each other's bridesmaids and you're like, how do you keep up with this? Like, it'd just be too much.
We were discussing it. They probably don't. It's probably just for show.
And now I've got this entire friend circle and like properly like friends, not people like, oh, I know her through crochet, like proper friends who I'll chat with every single day, who will come to my classes and I'll say to them, look, you're coming to so many classes and we're friends. And they're like, no, we want to support your business. You're not giving us a discount. You're not doing anything. And they're so good. And I've actually got 3 girls who have met through my classes who are now helping me arrange Off the Hook residential weekend.
Right, okay.
Yeah, which is going to be off the hook. Yeah, so we're currently organising a weekend away up South Newton. Okay. I don't know Scotland very well. I do know Scotland very well. I don't know where that is.
South Newton.
Apparently that's a girl guide place.
Right, okay. Maybe one of those like kind of glamping type things?
Oh, no, it's like proper like bunk beds.
Oh, is it? Right, okay.
Yeah.
Even better then.
And we're going to have like 3 sessions of crochet. We're talking to a lady who does pottery to see if she'll want to come along and help us paint pottery and do like little yarn bowls so everyone can have their own little yarn bowl. We're talking to a yoga teacher. So yeah, it's a
proper retreat that you're aiming for. That's amazing.
But I couldn't have done it without these girls. I couldn't have done it. I just happened to meet them through my classes and we've just all become really good friends. Yeah, it's amazing. Like one of them in particular, Rebecca, it's funny actually, you know when you meet somebody and you go, oh, we're going to be very good friends, like immediately. And in the comments that she put when she was booking her first ticket was, I've always wanted to learn this witchcraft and now it's time. I want to be a witch. And she walked into my class and I was like, we're going to be friends. Yeah, we're going to be friends. And honestly, message each other every day. She's looked after my kids before. Like we've been out for lunches and yeah, she's just one of my best friends now. And there's so many people who meet through classes and they start coming to classes together. It's so nice to see. It really is. Yeah, proper little community. So nice, Becky.
That's really nice. It's nice that what has become, as I say, a hobby to a business has become more than that. You know what I mean? And this is the idea of behind the brand, because we actually get to meet the real person behind it rather than people just seeing your brand. It's just a brand. At the end of the day, like people are getting to know you. And obviously that's working for you when you're doing what you're doing because you're building friendships, you're building relationships with people. And now you're looking at other kind of ways of doing it and you're like, let's do a retreat. Because that'll just bring everybody even closer together.
Yeah, exactly.
Might bring some apart, but bring them together. Especially if it's bunk beds and they don't get the top bunk, whatever. Take to be in the bottom. Oh, not a fan.
Yeah, so no, it's fantastic. And then there's the whole, we all kind of look out for each other as well. So there's a couple of people who have messaged me and said, oh, I'm not going to make it to class for either a week or however many weeks. I'm just not doing very well. And suddenly that opens up a whole kind of looking out for each other and making sure that people don't feel alone. And I mean, I mention mental health on my Facebook a lot. And one, it's amazing that they feel comfortable enough to talk to me and say, I'm not having a good day, I'm not going to be at class or just whatever. And it means that they then have somebody they know is looking out for them. So I've got a few people who currently aren't at classes because they're struggling. So I'll check in with them every kind of few days and just message them. And being on the other side of that myself, having somebody check up on you and it just makes you feel like you're not alone. So yeah, I mean, there's the fun community side as well, but it's also that kind of like feeling of not being alone.
You have people that are looking out for your back at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's incredible. I'm so happy.
And your classes themselves, how long do they tend to last?
2 hours.
2 hours, right? Okay, I wasn't sure if we clarified that at the start, but
2 hours.
2 hours.
And every single newbie at the end of class will go, "Oh my god, has that been 2 hours already?" It just flies in.
It's the same, time flies when you're having fun.
That's exactly it.
It really, really does. And it's so nice because there's people that will probably be in the similar positions. Do you tend to find like, does a lot of groups go to the certain things, like a group of friends, or is it like individuals that you tend to find more?
Both. I get quite a few kind of people who want to go that'll bring their friends, and they'll maybe bring a friend, and then they'll go, "Oh, I had a great time," and they'll bring another pal. I get a lot of mums and daughters.
That's quite nice, a wee bonding thing. Yeah,
it's incredible. I've had 3 generations. I had one a while ago where they all started fighting, and it was really quite awkward. You must get that. See, that must be the entertainment as well. It absolutely is. But yeah, I got a lot of mums and daughters, so kind of like mums my age and youngins about, like I say, 7, 8, 9. And then I'll get kind of older mums and daughters about my age. So it's really nice to kind of see like everybody, doesn't matter what age they are, just all coming together. I've got a mum who comes on a Saturday with her boy.
Right.
Shout out to Babs and Crabs.
Babs and Crabs.
Babs and Crabs.
Big up Babs and Crabs.
Yeah, we started calling Mum Barbara. I was like, "Does anyone call you Babs?" And she was like, "Nobody calls me Babs." Don't get me wrong,
that
she's a
could
good
go
laugh.
one or two ways, especially
exactly.
Glasgow and stuff like that.
She's a really good laugh, and you kind of have to know who you're talking to first of all. It wasn't like her first lesson, and I was like, "Can I call you Babs?" So I kind of got to know her. I was like, "Did anyone call you Babs?" And she was like, "No, I don't like Babs." And I went, "I am going to call you Babs." So this started out, and then Craig, her son, started calling her Babs, and she was like, "Look what you've started." So we're like, "Right, we'll call you Crabs then." So we got Babs and Crabs.
I bet you shut that up quite quickly, didn't they?
No, they embrace it. They
it.
absolutely embrace it.
That's good.
He'll message me and be like, "I'm stuck on this. Hi, Becky, it's Crabs. I'm stuck on this. Can you help me out?"
It's like the guy from Harry Potter, isn't it? Crabs. That's amazing. It's good though, and I think like that, it's not just a one like gender thing. You know what I mean? It's really open for anybody.
Everybody. Yeah.
I've seen amazing things. Like you've seen like I actually think I seen something on socials the other day, and it was not the other day, but a wee while ago. Sorry, and it was like a guy similar to what I've seen about the woman that I know. He's like he works in a children's ward, but that's what he does while he's sitting there. I think he's a security guard. And he crochets a lot of stuff and then gives it to like the infants and stuff.
That's incredible.
It's just amazing. It is, and it must be like so good for like separating yourself from the real world for a wee bit as well, with like mental health. I get your classes are all about fun and the community side of thing, but I'm like, you tend to think people will probably pick it up now when they're at home, picking up wee bits and bobs, and they're like, I'm just going to start doing it.
Yeah,
coming in showing you what they made. Look
exactly
what I made.
it.
I made this.
I get that. We have show and tell every class.
I love that.
Because somebody will, like, people bring in what they've made. I had a girl who, I say girl, like they're all, like she's my age. And she started a while ago, actually, a few months ago. And I taught a particular stitch and it looks like little tulips. And she was like, "I love this so much, I want to turn it into a cardigan." And I found a cardigan pattern that I kind of want to.
So you could fully make. Wow.
She was like, "I want that cardigan, but that stitch, how do I do it?" So she brought it to class like for the 3-4 weeks, and we kind of worked on like how it would work and how it would work. And eventually she sent me a picture of the little girl she made it for wearing it, and it was stunning, absolutely stunning. And you could see she was really proud that she'd like learned to crochet and then been able to make something for her niece. Her niece had just turned 1. And there was a little niece, 1-year-old, wearing this cardigan that she'd made, and it was and obviously she's delighted with that. I'm delighted with that because it just gives me such a good feeling knowing that I helped her do that.
It's proof in the pudding what you're doing, and these classes are obviously making a difference to people as well, and they're bringing out a whole different side to somebody.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. You get loads of people, "I didn't think I could do this," or like, "I tried it years ago and I couldn't do it. I thought I'd come to a class because maybe somebody could help me. Maybe I need to be shown."
Yep.
And now they come like week in, week out, and they're just flying. It's phenomenal.
I think you've got to have a good personality when you're teaching someone like that as well, and it seems like you do as well.
Well, I never thought I'd be a good teacher. When I first started, everyone was like, "Oh, she's so patient," and I sent a screenshot to my auntie, and she was like, "Patient?" I was like, "No, I know. Who'd have thought it, eh?" But it turns out having 2 kids makes you more patient, apparently. So yeah, no. I never thought I'd be a teacher of any sort. But yeah, it's brilliant because I somehow can adapt to everyone's personality. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some times when I'll say something and go, "Oh, that has landed badly."
Yes.
But like over the weeks of getting to know people, you know kind of where the boundaries lie. So I'll have some people who are not as kind of outgoing and they're quite quiet and they just do their own thing. So I'll know how to speak to them and work with them. And then you get some people who are like larger than life. And although I can have a lot of laugh with them, it's also about how to kind of say to them, there are other people present.
Yeah, you've still got to be mindful.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but like I said, I never thought I could do anything like this. And like I thought when I first started my class, 6 people around a table, and like I just
arms and legs.
Yeah, and
literally.
I just absolutely loved it. My very first class was a hit from reality. I had a girl there who was very, very introverted and didn't even want to really look at me.
Ah, okay.
She wanted to learn to crochet, but was very wary about other people. And she came to classes for ages, and the things she ended up making, and she started speaking to me, and it was just amazing. There were people who came to the same class and got to know her. I say to them like, oh, she spoke to me today, and they'd be like, no way. It wasn't even she was encouraged to speak to me. She'd say
she was getting comfortable.
Yeah, that means the world. Because I'm clearly doing something right.
She also finds your place safe. That's
exactly it. And it's so sad because I had to move from that venue to Morrison's in Johnstone, and it's just too busy for her, and she can't. I know, and it breaks my heart every time I start Morrison's in Johnstone. Like even though it's sold out, I just kind of wish that her seat had her in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I might find another venue that's quieter or that suits her better. But yeah, I miss her.
That's nice to know, and hopefully if she's watching then she knows that like it wasn't just that you were just happened to be somebody that just came to a class one day. Like you're a real person at the end of the day.
I
care
about
the people that come, and you appreciate everybody that comes, and as you say, you do care. You build obviously that relationship with people.
Yeah. No, like I say, I message. In fact, I was messaging one of the girls this morning because she brought cake to class last night.
She was your favourite last night. She'd been my favourite. Bring Kate to the studio, you're fine.
Honestly, this cake she made carrot cake, and I love a carrot cake, but this was like next level. And my son's a really fussy eater, and I got home and I thought he'd try it and be like, and he demolished it. So I messaged her and I was like, it must have been good. And I sent her pictures of him with cream cheese frosting all over his face. So yeah, she was like, that makes me so happy. But she's somebody who comes with her mum as well. Like loads of people come with friends, mums. But I always say to people, like, if you don't have anyone to come with, it can be quite daunting to kind of go somewhere, especially when you think like everyone must know each other. I have newbies all the time. And if you're a bit nervous about coming, message me. I'll walk you through it, because there are so many people that come along and they're a bit nervous, and then they realise that, everyone's been there before, everyone's been the newbie. Before long, you're flying.
Sounds like everybody's supportive. And I think that's something we've touched on quite a lot in the podcast, is that everyone is supportive as well. And it is a community-driven type thing now. It's becoming, and it is literally growing arms and legs. Yeah. Which is amazing to see so many people coming and going.
Yeah.
Where I think for us, obviously, talking about obviously the venues and stuff that you do, are you allowed to name the venues that you
absolutely.
are? Just so that people maybe listening or watching are like, that is literally round the corner from me, and I didn't know it existed.
So there's What If in Paisley on Moss Street. So that's just behind Gilmore Street.
Yep.
And I am in there on a Thursday afternoon, 12 till 2, and I'm also in there on a Tuesday night, 6:30 till 8:30. And that's even on you'd think a Thursday afternoon, a little crochet club, you'd think it'd be like the quietest thing. Honestly, we have to kind of check ourselves if there's people in the shop, because of things we like shouting out and like talking about things. I'm like, we can't say that. Yeah, it's just hilarious, absolutely hilarious. And the girls in there, they're just brilliant. They're so accommodating.
We've had Amanda on the podcast.
Yes,
before.
you have. She mentioned, actually, she went, oh, you're going to see Curtis? And I went, yeah. And she was like, oh, yeah, he's lovely. That's so right. That's right. Of course you have. I'm going on Amanda's radio show soon. She's got a radio slot, Johnstone Radio, I think.
Oh, has she? I didn't know that. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Good on her. Do you know, Amanda is so lovely. And I felt like when she came in, she did this, she was like in her wee shell. And I feel like she's, not because of this, but she was getting so much better at putting herself out there and stuff, and she's also won her award and things like that with the Renfrew Awards, and
she's just written a book.
Well, she's written a book as well, which is fantastic.
Just incredible. Yeah, she's an absolute inspiration. They all are, all of them, and it's just a joy to be able to work with them and sell my stuff in their shop as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, like absolutely. Even if you don't want to come to a crochet class, you need to go into What If, because the things in there that people have made are just brilliant, and you always get a good chat from the girls. So that's Tuesday, Thursday. Thursday evening, I'm in Shawlands on Battlefield Road called the Craft Hub.
Okay.
So the shop just down the road, still on Battlefield Road, called the Stitch Bitch, and that's run by a guy called Johnny Palmer. And Johnny Palmer owns possibly all of Battlefield Road, like literally, like there's so many units he's got.
There's always one, isn't there? There's always one person. Just
and he's incredible as Johnny. Like if you want a good laugh and a good natter, he's your man. If you can catch him, he's busy. And I did a 4-week course for him last year, about this time, but I did it in his shop, and his shop was quite small. And he asked me to come back, and he said, I've got a new unit. Honestly, this unit is beautiful. He's decked it all out, and it's just gorgeous. So that's up at 22 Battlefield Road, called the Craft Hub. So Friday morning, Erskine Arts. So that's a free class at Erskine Arts, and then my class is 10 till 12, and they start what's called soup sessions at 11:30. So a lot of people come in and they'll get their soup, they'll get bread rolls, cup of coffee, and that's a really good community feel, because again, people will come from all over and they all get to know each other. And people who are coming for the soup sessions will see the crochet and vice versa. So yeah.
Is that where the garden centre used to be? Is that right?
It's just past the garden centre. But it's funny you mentioned gardens, because they've just got a grant and they're going to be doing a lot of work in their own grounds on the gardens to kind of do all sorts. Like they're going to have a gardening team, and they're going to be doing like, I couldn't tell you, I don't want to go into it too much in case I'm lying, but there's going to be a huge project work done on the outside.
Around it, yep.
And it looks really, really good. So if you're not familiar with Erskine Art, absolutely get involved
Check
with them.
it out, yeah.
And again, Ali and Jason, they're just great guys, and again, we'll do anything to help you.
Shout out them too.
They're such good guys. Like, I don't know how they do it. They run music sessions. They must do a lot more than I'm going to give them credit for, but they just seem to be always on it.
Yeah.
And their social media is brilliant, and yeah, they're just great guys, and they're always happy to stand and chat to you. Like, even if you know they're super busy, they've always got time for you. They're such good guys. Where else? So I've got Tuesday, Thursday, Thursday Shawlands, Friday, Saturday. So Saturday morning, 10 till 12 in Dumbarton, and that's at Threads Wool Shop.
Okay.
There's not a lot of wool shops. There's the Hidden Wool Shop in Renfrew, there's Threads in Dumbarton, and there's a few dotted around. Threads is a brilliant wool shop. There's a lot of places you could maybe buy wool, like the range, but this is one of those wool shops where Linda, who runs it, knows what she's talking about. So if you go in and say, I want to make this pattern, what do I need? She'll say, you'll need that amount of wool and that hook, and she'll just
get an expert there.
Yeah, she knows, and she's so good. And she's recently had a little refurb and made her the back of the shop a little classroom area, a proper classroom area. So it's lovely with little fairy lights, and honestly, she's great. And again, great chat from Linda. And then we have to check ourselves that there's nobody in the shop. Honestly, you'd think a little crochet class would be awesome.
Because you sound like a bunch of troublemakers.
Absolutely. I didn't start it. I just seem to attract trouble. I'm very good. So yeah, Saturday afternoon, Johnstone Morrison's Cafe. And a lot of people don't understand it's literally in the cafe.
Do you know, I was thinking that there. I was like, is it literally inside the cafe?
In the cafe. So the class is from 1 till 3, but I'll go there at about 9 in the morning, set up my table area and have it reserved. And then people kind of just wandering. It's up at the back. We get 10% off coffee as well.
Oh,
in fact, no, I think we get 10% off everything.
That's a Brucey bonus.
Yeah, exactly. So
the guys at Morrison's are brilliant, actually. They're really nice.
Well, they're really into community as well. Yeah. So it works really well.
I used to do a lot of stuff with them for an old job that I used to work for, or an old company I used to work for. But they were amazing. Community driven, so big up them as well. Yeah,
they're brilliant. And every time I'll tag them on Facebook, they're always sharing my post. And they're fantastic. And
what was that woman's name? The wee woman, it was like a community champion. I don't know if she's still there or not.
At Morrison's, I think, I want to call her Jackie, and I'm going to feel terrible if she's not called Jackie.
I feel you could be right, but there was a wee woman. But just sorry to think of this. I'm just thinking back, because there was one woman in particular that was the champion there, and she was just fantastic, absolutely phenomenal what she did. Yeah, they're brilliant. The manager's been lovely with me as well. Come down and had a chat with me about what you can do to help me. It's just they're brilliant. And then Saturday evening, Hugs and Mugs. So I've just started at Hugs and Mugs. So last Saturday was my first class there. Before that, I was in the Hidden Wool Shop. But Hugs and Mugs, a little bit more comfortable, and I've got coffee and cake as well. Yep. Well, they're very new themselves.
They're very new. So 2 Saturdays ago, on my way to the Hidden Wool Shop, big shout out to Hidden Wool Shop, by the way. Again, another great shop that if you want to know about wool, you go to them. Yeah. The Jane and Lisa in there are the ones I know, and David who runs it. I mean, they're just fantastic. And I think a lot of people were like, "Oh, you've left Hidden Wool Shop. What's the gossip?" There is no gossip. No, they're just wonderful people, and I will not stop recommending their shop. It's just incredible. But yeah, we moved to Hugs and Mugs because just a bit of comfort. The seating in Hidden Wool Shop was just not great for people who were coming. I've got a lady in her 80s, a few people in their 60s, some people with like back and muscular issues. So we just found more comfortable seating was easier. So in Hugs and Mugs, two weeks before, on my way to Hidden Wool Shop, I popped in for a coffee. I was like, oh, it's brand new, opened that weekend. And I met the manager, and I said to my friend Rebecca, who I was telling you about, my new best friend, and I was stood with her, and I was like, oh, I could do a class in here. And we looked at each other and I went, do a class in here? And surely enough, I'm just sat chatting with the manager. Yeah, properly. We spoke to the manager, we spoke to the owner, and I was like, Rebecca, I've got to get to class. And she was like, leave it with me. She's my girl is Rebecca. And then she came into class and she was like, I think they'll take us like next week. So yeah, I went in the following day, which was the Sunday, spoke to Steph myself, had it all organised, but it was so good that we went back in the Monday and had breakfast there. I don't know if you've been in yet.
Unfortunately, not been in yet because it is super, super new. Do you know, actually, I was actually walking by for lunch and I was thinking, where can I go for lunch down here? And I walked right by it. And I was like, there's no way I'm getting served in it because it was heaving. Absolutely heaving. I was like, there's no way I'm getting served in it. Which is just a credit to itself because obviously, if it was rubbish, people wouldn't be in it.
That's exactly it.
So,
it's so good. We went in on Sunday. I took the kids in for cake, and again, Noah, bit of a fussy eater, demolished the chocolate cake. I had my 1-year-old eating lemon drizzle cake, but then she eats everything, so that's not really a thing. And I had cherry and chocolate cake. Oh my god, it was so good. Went in the following day. Noah had chocolate cake again, and I had scrambled eggs. And I'm a bit funny when it comes to scrambled eggs. Like, they have to be done perfectly. Like American style, kind of a little bit creamy.
Mm-hmm.
And not most places you go, but I've been in places where they can like shove it in the microwave and hope for the best.
They were good. Take really good care.
They were so good, and
you can see like, get them on the podcast.
Oh no, definitely. They've got like chefs in the back, not just kind of like people with microwaves. Proper chefing. Yep. And Steph, the manager, I have never seen anybody work so hard all the time. I went on the Saturday, she was there. Went on the Sunday, she was there. The Monday, she was there. And then we went on the Saturday evening for the class, and she was there. And I was like, she just doesn't stop. She just works, and she doesn't stop smiling. Like, you'd think, like, after a while, it might take its toll.
Hope she doesn't burn herself out.
I hope she doesn't.
Please rest, Steph. Please rest.
Yeah.
We need you for the podcast.
She is brilliant. So yeah, big shout out to Steph, because whatever she's doing it right. It's great in there.
Amazing. And for those that are aware of the studio, it's literally a stone throw away. It's like down there somewhere.
Yeah, other side of Town Hall.
I don't know what direction I'm at. But yeah, beside the Town Hall. Yeah, pretty much.
And I think that's it. So Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Friday. Yeah.
Amazing. And how would people get in touch with you to like book in for a class? How would they do that?
So you go to my website, offthehookwithbecky.co.uk, and there's a whole different bunch of options. One of them is book now.
Okay.
You click book now. It tells you a list of classes, how many spaces are available, or if they're sold out. If they're sold out, you can go into my waiting list. So if somebody reschedules, I'll send out a notification to anybody on the waiting list.
That's quite cool.
Or if it's not sold out, book in a space. I also I post about it on my Facebook once a week. I've got a WhatsApp community. So if anybody cancels last minute, so there's a 48-hour cancellation period. And if you're in that, you will still get charged. Like, you won't get a refund. However, a lot of people now, again, with the community, will say, I can't make it, but give my space off to somebody. So even though they've paid for it, so I go on the WhatsApp community and I'll say, there's a free cancellation. Like, first person to message me gets it. And like, it's now a running joke.
It's kind of like passing on, isn't it?
That's
like
exactly
paying it forward sort of thing.
That's exactly it. And the minute I hit send, a minute, 2 minutes, and I'm messages. I want it. Which is great. It just shows how popular it is. But that's so that's it. Yeah, book online. Jump on the cancellation page, join the WhatsApp community, or pop into What If, because they sell tickets for me as well.
Oh, that's good.
So if you're more of a cash person, then What If will take a booking. They'll just message me and tell me.
Suitable for all ages then. Really.
Absolutely.
Because I know there'll be a couple of people that'll be like, I don't use Wi-Fi, I don't use internet and things like that.
That's exactly it. I've got a lady called Jackie. who is my octogenarian, and she's wild. She is like proper wild. Thing she was coming out with, she had us dying with laughing one Saturday. I mean, most Saturdays she does. And she happened to pop into the Hidden Wool shop, and they told her about crochet, and she was like, oh, I don't use social media, I don't understand. So they got in touch with me and they booked it for her. So yeah, if you're an in-person kind of person, go to What If, or message me.
Yeah.
Like, get somebody to give me a call, or call me yourself. If I don't answer, I'll get back to you. If somebody wants to kind of just come along and pay in class, I'm sure I can do that. I tend to not do that because it becomes a whole thing. But there are people who genuinely want to come along but don't have the means to go online, and that's
the resources
fine.
And things. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to make it accessible to all.
That's amazing. Honestly, Jay and Liz, and I think you're catering to all ages as well, which is fantastic. Because I know there's a couple of old dears that I work with, and they don't use socials. Don't use. I mean, they literally use a phone the way that a phone's supposed to be used, and that's to call people. That is it.
Yep, absolutely. I had an advert in the Renfrew Resident, and I'm going to get some more leaflets printed, and put them up kind of like in the areas I'm at as well, so if people don't go on socials, they'll see the leaflets. But yeah, you'll find me one way or another.
Amazing. Honestly, I've really, really enjoyed this. It's been so nice actually hearing about your business as well, because I wasn't sure what to expect, obviously, when it comes to crocheting as well, but there's so much scope for it as well.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. There's hooks as well. I'm doing ergonomic hooks. I'm launching a range of ergonomic hooks.
Amazing.
Because obviously you know what that means.
Yeah, yeah. Come on, hooks. I mean, research. Come on. What's your just to kind of come to the end of the podcast? What is your favourite thing to make, or what is your favourite thing that you have made?
Oh, you've put me on the spot.
I'll tell you what my favourite thing you've made is the Baby Yoda. Love that.
He was a lot of fun to make. He did kill my fingers though. Oh. He did absolutely. He was really tight stitches. So yeah, he killed my fingers, but he looked good. And if I could have kept him, probably that. But I think possibly my favourite was when I was first starting, and I didn't know about different hooks and different yarn and whatnot. And I saw a pattern for a unicorn, and I was like, oh, that's a cute little unicorn. But I used like super chunky chenille wool, thinking, I don't know. And I'm not joking, this unicorn came out this big. It was massive. And I was like, oh my God. It was
It's
insane.
so fluffy.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was huge. A big like colourful things coming off its head, and I was like, oh my God, it took me weeks. But yeah, I think that probably my unicorn. I gave her away actually. I gave it away to one of our friends' girls. I went to visit them, and I took like I think I just like made loads of stuff, and I wasn't doing classes at that point. I had like all these toys, and I was like, oh, these are gifts for you.
You can have that one, you can have that one, you can have that one. Right, if we get any more we need to get rid of, right?
Pretty much.
I love that. That's so good.
Yeah, but yeah, they probably the giant unicorn. Yeah, just because I was so surprised by it. Oh God.
Oh, that is brilliant. Listen, I can't thank you enough for coming along.
Thank you for having me.
And chatting away about your business. I really hope that people listening and watching this do come along now that know where the venues are and how to book it.
Yeah.
As well. Just it's so good, and I think like that people that maybe feeling a wee bit lonely and looking to join a community that's obviously fun, friendly, and people get your back and stuff, then it sounds like yours is the right place to go to.
Absolutely.
Well. And I don't know of many other places doing this sort of thing at the moment. I imagine most people will probably start jumping on it, but so I'm glad that yours is kind of out there. You're the only one I know of, so hopefully we can punt yours out there.
Good.
We touch more. But again, thanks so much for listening, folks, and watching along on YouTube if you have been. Remember, you can leave a like, subscribe, all the doodads to help push this podcast and obviously make businesses like Becky's more visible to not only Renfrewshire but more people out with, because it'd be great if other people were travelling and to the podcast, because you do Shawlands, so I mean that's technically exactly Glasgow, isn't it? Yeah. So I mean you do out with and all that sort of stuff. So, but thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and we will see you again in the next one.